My name is Jessy Fagerström. I grew up in Kenya. I grew up overseas, which really shaped me. That really made me who I am today. I spent my middle school and high school years in Kenya, and then I finished off my senior year in England. And having lived through the Civil War in Kenya and having experienced all that was really transformative for me. And so from that experience, I really decided that I wanted to commit my life to education because I felt like the people there, the conflict that was ensuing was due to the fact that people didn't have an education. And I feel like even today with my own children, education and educating the next generation is really, really important to me because I feel like when people are armed with an education, they are able to affect positive, peaceful change in their community. After finishing high school, I came to the United States, and it was a huge culture shock. I had spent my entire upbringing in a place halfway across the world, and then I went to Columbia in New York City. I found myself in this massive city full of people from all different walks of life, but I was by myself. And then on top of that, at Columbia University, the academics are insane in terms of what's expected of you. So I had pressure coming at me from all angles. My parents were still in Kenya, so they were halfway across the world. My boyfriend lived across the country, which was now my husband, but he was far away from me. And everybody kind of did their own thing, especially in New York City, right? They're all chasing their own ambitions and chasing their own dreams. So there I am by myself, living what I thought was going to be the dream in New York City, but really falling down a very deep, dark rabbit hole. So I actually sought out medication to assist me in my anxiety and depression, and it also led to suicidal ideation. None of my family members had ever experienced such intense depression and anxiety, and so I felt very alone in that too, that it was only me, and what was wrong with me, and why couldn't I just embrace this beautiful city that I was in? Like, what was so wrong with me that I couldn't just jump in with both feet? And so I was seeing a counselor at the time and, explaining all of these pressures that I was feeling, this loneliness and this despair and this death and this whole thing that I was experiencing. And I was in one session and I just lost it. And when I say lost it, I mean that I couldn't see anything. I couldn't hear anything. And I fell on the floor and I lost it. So my counselor at the time was like, what is happening to you? As in she had never seen, I lost it. I lost complete control of my body. And so she calls the hospital and they come and get me, and I wake up from this moment of not being able to see or hear anything, and I come out of this moment and I'm in the mental hospital. I'm in the hospital in New York City. I am locked in a room, and I couldn't believe it. I knew that something like this was coming because I had seen myself falling so deep, but I couldn't believe that I had fallen so far. In that moment, there was no hope. Or there felt like there was no hope. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know what was wrong with me. So that was my deepest moment of despair and confusion and trying to figure out why I found myself there. Why was this God's plan for my life? We think of hope as we're just wishing for better days, or we're just wishing, right? Wishful thinking. But in the Old Testament, the word for hope is actually a verb. I think it's kava, and it's a verb that means waiting expectantly. Believing that actually God is already ahead of you. Believing that actually He is going to come through without fear, without doubt, knowing, waiting expectantly for God. And I feel like I've been able to transition from that wishful thinking to waiting expectantly, knowing that God is there, knowing that He's going to bring me through any strange situation that I find myself in. When I think about hope, I think about, as cliche as it might be, I think about the light at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes that light is so small. It is like a pinprick of light, a fleck of gold. It is the tiniest little thing. And you don't know how long it's going to take to get down the tunnel to it. And you don't even know really what's on the other side, but you can see it. If I could just get through this hole, if I could just make it to the other side, I feel like there'd be something beautiful there for me. So I look for the flecks of gold. And sometimes that's as small as seeing my child smile at me. Sometimes that's as small as eating ice cream on the couch and watching my favorite Netflix show. But it's the flecks of gold each day that bring me closer and closer to where God wants me. And that's how I see hope in my life.